Joining me now to dive deeper into possible solutions for the housing crisis is Suzanne Cabrera, President and CEO of Housing Leadership Council of Palm Beach County, Linda Taylor, CEO of the nonprofit H.O.M.E.S, Inc. in Broward, and joining us virtually is Audrey Aradanas, Deputy Director of the nonprofit Miami Homes for All. Ladies, thank you so much for being with me. I really appreciate it. Such an important topic.
Yes.
Definitely. So, yeah, Linda, let me start with you. Your organization, H.O.M.E.S, Inc., based in Broward, it's slated to participate in the United Way's Housing United program, which we just saw Kathleen Cannon talk about. Talk a little bit first about H.O.M.E.S, Inc. and what you do and how important it is to partner with them.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. We've been in business now 24 years and celebrate that 24 year of service to Broward County residents. We target low to moderate income families. We follow HUD's mandate with a goal and a mission of helping residents provide a safe, decent, affordable place for their families to live. And let me tell you, it has become very difficult to do. And without the help of partners like United Way, Broward County and the other cities in Broward, and philanthropic donors, we could not do this. We're on the front line, but we can't do the work by ourselves. So these relationships are absolutely critical to our success.
No, indeed. And then Suzanne, the city of Lake Worth Beach in Palm Beach County, as we have seen reports, declared a state of emergency over the housing crisis. So give us a sense of just how bad it really is that a municipality has to declare a state of emergency.
It's pretty bad. And one of the tasks of the Housing Leadership Council is really to study and see where we are on housing. We did a study that was released in January of 2021, and it showed we're behind 200,000 units. So it's no surprise that we're seeing people getting the rents increased, that people are having trouble finding a place to live, and we have such a supply and demand imbalance. So that was one of the things that was really important about doing that study. And then, of course, we put together a housing plan based on that. But things do take time. It's going to take money and time. But in the meantime, I think all of our municipalities in the county are trying to do whatever they can to tide us over to make sure that people do have a safe place to live and call home.
Audrey, talk about Miami Homes for All and the nonprofit's role in finding affordable housing solutions.
Pam, thank you so much for having me here today. And so Miami Homes for All, we are an advocacy organization focusing on increasing affordable housing here in Miami-Dade County and ending homelessness. We do this through policy advocacy, collective action, and a lot of research. And so some of the solutions that we're thinking about is how do we create more permanent supportive housing options in our community and invest in those options so that way we can end homelessness here in our county, as well as have opportunities for folks that are going through an eviction. Since 2020, there have been 34,000 evictions filed in Miami-Dade County. And also we have to consider that prior to 2020, there were 250,000 households that were cost burdened, meaning that they were spending more than 30% of their income towards rent. We want to make sure that overall, whenever we have these investments into affordable housing, that we focus on deeper affordability levels. When we think about deeper affordability levels, we're thinking about 80% AMI, area median income, and below. We know that the top three job occupations that are coming up are nurses, laborers, and these sorts of jobs, and they can only afford rent that's between $492 to about $1,600. And I think that my peers here can also share that in South Florida, that's almost impossible to find.
Yeah, so Suzanne, let's talk a little bit about that. We know the Housing Leadership Council is supporting this $200 million bond that's being put forth in Palm Beach County. Voters are going to be voting on that in November. If that passes, how will that help the situation?
we're really hoping it'll help the situation. We did an entire housing plan, and funding and financing is just part of it, but an important part. We really need to jumpstart and catch up on those 20,000 units that we're missing. So that's going to be used to provide low-cost loans, low-cost money to developers, for-profit and nonprofit, to add units, and all those units added with the bond money will be restricted, and it will be restricted toward people making those lower incomes. So we'll make sure that all the $200 million goes to help the housing crisis.
Right, because my understanding is a developer would bid to the county and say, I'm going to develop this project or property. Some of the units have to be affordable, correct? And then the eventual home buyers could go maybe online or access something within the county to find out where those properties are, correct?
Absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, our county already has a workforce affordable housing finder on it where you can find apartments. We have had a workforce housing program for a number of years now, and properties for sale, even though those are harder to find. So we're hoping to just really supercharge that effort and really increase those numbers, because we have to start dealing with this severe supply and demand imbalance, and adding units will help bring the cost down, but also those units we add will all be for the folks that need it, the people that we were talking about, the nurses, the teachers.
Well, and I think that's so important to mention, and Linda, let's talk a little bit about that, is when folks hear that people need affordable housing or they can't afford to pay their rent, maybe they don't really know what these folks look like. And it goes back to that Alice population that we just heard Kathleen Cannon talk about. She said these are folks who are doing everything right. They're working hard. They just can't make ends meet, right? Talk about that and how this, and they make too much money to be able to get services that go to the working poor. So they're sort of in this limbo period almost, and really need help, especially when it comes to being cost burdened now for rents because everything's so high. So talk a little bit about that.
You know, our first thought is that it's just low-income families. Let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. It is moderately income folk, it is police officers, and, you know, everybody across the spectrum. These are working people. Some of these are families that, moms and dads that are working 2 jobs, and many of them are the working homeless, unfortunately.
And we interact with them all the time, right?
Yes.
It's very true. They're our neighbors, they're our teachers, they're the people who are serving us in the community. And we just don't know maybe the suffering that they're experiencing.
Many of them are embarrassed to tell their coworkers, their employers, because they feel ashamed that they're in this situation and they don't know how to get out.
Yeah. Audrey, I want to bring you in on this. You know, we talked about there aren't enough affordable rentals to go around, as you've mentioned. I mean, rent has doubled and tripled. People are cost burdened. So what advice are you all giving to renters? And we know that the county's trying to come up with some sort of relief, and I think, too, they did this in Broward, they've done it in Miami-Dade County, that if a landlord is going to raise the rent by at least 5% or more, they have to give tenants 60 days notice at least so that they can figure this out, correct? So what is some of your advice to renters out there?
You know, a lot of renters are having to find themselves sleeping in their cars, trying to find any other opportunity to get into housing. And so when folks call us, we give them the advice of, you know, trying to pull together as many resources as possible. You know, we have Access Helps in South Florida where they can find the different programs online, as well as our United Way, as well as, you know, county funded programs to access. And again, even that is not enough, frankly. And so when folks call us, the advice we give is we walk them through all the different resources that we have in Miami-Dade, and try to figure out how can we make sure that this household can be stably housed for at least the next couple of months. So I know that's not really the best answer, but unfortunately that's where we're at right now. We're at an affordable housing crisis, and honestly, a homelessness crisis in Miami-Dade County.
Linda, let's talk maybe about some short-term and long-term solutions. Clearly, the long-term solutions we've discussed here. We need more affordable homes to be built for people to move into. Short-term, what might be some solutions, and what are you telling folks?
Well, I want to mention that nonprofits need unrestricted income. There is no way that I can put a family in a hotel for a week or two until we find a more permanent solution for them if I don't have unrestricted dollars to do it with. And right now I'm completely out of money. I'm even using a bit of our operating dollars, especially when I find that a family has a senior member in the household or children in the household. It's just heartbreaking. One of the Band-Aids I see that families are doing is that they are trying to move in together. So you'll see 2 or 3 families renting a unit or moving into a home that someone owns in the family, and that's helping a bit. But again, when it's on the renter side, the landlord doesn't want that because the infrastructure of his or her building isn't sufficient to accommodate that many people in a unit.
Right.
So that creates a problem. So there are some Band-Aids, but long term, it's a affordability issue certainly. Either income has to go up or housing prices have to come down.
There are a lot of people who are watching, a lot of folks who are affected by this. They are cost burdened when it comes to housing. So is it a call to action to everyone, from government to public-private partnerships, to really get involved here?
Absolutely, and that is such a good point, that the whole community really has to come together to address this crisis, or our kids won't be coming back to the county, we won't be getting new higher paying jobs. And we figured even on our $200 million bond, it'll cost the average homeowner $14 a year. And that's the power of community coming together. For $14 a year, you can make sure that we have enough housing for everybody in the community. So some of these solutions are so important, but we're going to need everybody working on the solution to make it happen.
Absolutely. And we're going to have to leave it there. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. A very important conversation that we had today. We really appreciate your insight.